Electric vehicles, or EVs, trade combustion engines for battery-powered motors. These fast, quiet, and high-tech vehicles are being pioneered by companies like Tesla and Michigan's own Rivian. Amazon is moving toward an all-electric fleet of vehicles by 2030. Ford is turning iconic brands like the Mustang into EVs. General Motors has pledged to sell only electric vehicles by 2035 and has already sold the reservation for the first all-electric Hummer to roll off the line at the Barrett-Jackson Scottsdale auction for $2.5 million. According to the Edison Electric Institute, there were over 1 million electric vehicles on US roads as of 2018. Hannah and John have been driving their EV for 3 years.
I was going to have a kind of longer commute from Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti out to Detroit and back every day. I wanted to take every opportunity I could to do my part to contribute to reducing greenhouse gas emissions and to do the thing, to move in the direction that it looked like as a society we were going to have to move eventually.
John McElroy, the host of Autoline on the benefits of EVs.
We're going to see a dramatic reduction in air pollution in cities. We're going to see a reduction in noise pollution because these cars are far, far quieter. There's other issues that have got to be resolved. We need to be able to recycle the batteries in volume, mass volume, and be able to do it at a profit because we don't want to end up just throwing these things into landfills. So there's going to be some adjustments as well. But overall, for the general public and for the economy, the move to electric cars is going to be a positive.
Other countries have already bought into electric vehicles, like Norway, where 74% of vehicles are hybrid plug-in or fully electric.
Did you know that Norway sells way more electric cars per capita than the US? Norway.
And China, who's planning to transition to all-electric or hybrid cars by 2035. If passed, President Biden's American Jobs Plan will invest $174 billion into incentives for people to buy EVs and support to get 500,000 chargers installed across the country by 2030.
The fear is that we're falling way behind China and Europe in this regard, especially when it comes to the supply chain of critical materials for batteries and motors. The United States is way far behind, and we know that this is going to be the future.
In addition to the positive environmental impacts and potential market share, electric cars are efficient. Associate Professor of Mechanical Engineering at Wayne State University, Dr. Jerry Koo explains.
Having efficiency in the range of upper 80% to 90%. Whereas combustion engine, even with all the turbocharging, all those kind of things, you probably cannot get much more than 45%. So that means that for every gallon of fuel, there's only less than half gallon actually contributed to driving the vehicle. Whereas if you use electric vehicle, every kilowatt hour of electric charge from your battery pack, you can use 80-90% of it. So there's less waste. That has always been the case.
As of 2019, there were over 2.8 million registered vehicles in Michigan, but only 4,200 registered electric vehicles. Of the 250 million vehicles on the roads in the US today, fewer than 1% are electric. Why haven't EVs taken off in the States?
Number one is the cost of the cars. They tend to be more expensive upfront, though over their life, their maintenance and service costs are less, so it'll end up being cheaper, but you have that upfront hurdle to overcome. Moreover, a lot of people live in apartments. Where are you going to plug in at night? Or in a condominium or the like. And, unless you have your own private residence or someplace to plug in at night, that introduces the concern of range anxiety, where people are like, oh my gosh, what if I run out of juice? Where am I going to plug in?
Like even the most advanced charger, it's, level 3 people. It's still talking about like on the magnitude of hours. So you take that long to charge the car fully, and then you think about like if there's a line, then you have to wait.
But also for those of us who live in the snow belt, you lose a lot of range in cold weather. You might lose half your range if it's bitter cold outside. So you lump all this stuff together, and a lot of people are waiting for somebody else to take the plunge and learn from them before they decide to go electric.
Oh, there's good apps that have all the stations, and people add information about the stations, like how many chargers there are, even what the speed of charging is at different stations. So you can plan really nicely.
One thing that we learned just about the mileage is that it really depends on how fast you drive. And I come from a part of the country that has lower speed limits than we have here. So I'm not inclined to drive 80 plus miles an hour anyway.
Right.
But if you're somebody who is, you run through the charge a lot faster at 80 than you do at 70.
Though Americans have been slow EV adopters, a 2020 Consumers Report survey showed 71% of US drivers said that they would consider buying an EV in the future, and more than 70% agreed that automakers should offer variety, plug-in EV pickups, and SUVs in addition to cars. Automakers have taken different strategies to try and keep up with the sector's clear frontrunner, Tesla.
They are so far out in front of the rest of the industry, which is now scrambling to try to catch up. But even amongst traditional automakers, we're seeing different strategies. At the top, the most committed are Volkswagen and General Motors.
But not every automaker has plans to go fully electric.
Then you've got others like Ford, for example, that is saying, okay, we're not going to make the full-blown commitment, but we are going to electrify iconic products in our lineup. Toyota, for example, is a big believer in hybrids, not electric cars. Honda recognized it really doesn't have the capability of doing anything short-term. It's partnered up with General Motors for making electric vehicles in the United States. So, depending on which automaker you're talking about, you're going to encounter a different strategy.
Michigan ranked 29th out of the 50 states in Washington, D.C. in a scorecard of state transportation electrification by the American Council for an Energy Efficient Economy. Preparations to make Michigan more EV ready are still underway. The Michigan Climate and Energy Department is working on projects like the Electric Vehicle Readiness Plan to help townships, counties, cities, and villages become EV ready through zoning, and the Optimized EV Charger Placement Plan to develop a fast charging network for electric vehicle travel throughout Michigan by 2030. At the federal level, President Biden's proposed infrastructure plan still has to make it through Congress. For the United States, government, automakers, and consumers will have to be in sync as it hopes to charge into an electrified future.